Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Shouting Into the Void, a series. Every week, it comes out every week. It does come out every week. It might be a different day in the week, but it comes out every week. Where myself and Liam go back through New Who of Doctor Who, which is from 2005. We have watched three full series now, which is ridiculous, I think.
Mm.
And in those, we've had two Christmas specials. And that now means we're on our third Christmas special, which is also very strange. But luckily, this is the first Christmas special we have where it's actually almost Christmas time. Uh,
Yes.
so it feels acceptable to watch this one, unlike last time when it was the middle of summer.
Mm.
But it's fine. So we're finally at Voyage of the Damned, which is technically the first episode of series 4. Again, it's a bit depends where you put it. Some people put it at the end of series 3, some at series 4. I would say this is more at the end of series 3 than it is start of series 4,
Yeah.
based on how we literally pick up after straight away from the end of series 3 into this.
Yeah.
Um, but the Doctor finds himself aboard the Titanic, but it's not just any Titanic, it's a spaceship Titanic.
Oh, I thought it was an M&S
Woohoo!
Titanic.
Well, I mean, it does look like one, but it might just crash anyway. It's fine. M&S is definitely a stable business.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, the Doctor finds himself aboard this spaceship. He just wants to have a fun time. He's enjoying himself. He's speaking to some aliens. He's flirting with Kylie Minogue. But then the captain's like, "Hey, I'm dying, but my family are going to get some cash, so I'm going to blow up the ship." So some meteorites hit the boat, and yeah, it then turns into Titanic the movie rather than Titanic the boat. Uh,
Yes.
which it is fun. I quite, I had a bit of fun with this. It's very. I feel like this is the closest to like an action movie we've had Doctor Who be. Um, moving forwards, it's just standard action movies cliches. There's a group of survivors. They have to survive. They have to figure out what happened, all that kind of stuff. Um, some interesting sci-fi twists in there, I think. Obviously, the Titanic being a spaceship is the main one.
Hmm.
But there's also some aliens. There's some romance. There's some murder. There's another set of angels in that, even though we've only been 3-4 episodes since the last set of angels.
These ones are gold, so they're
That's true.
completely
Sorry,
different.
these ones are Christmas ones.
These ones are robots, not statues. They're completely different.
Yes, exactly. They're not the same. But yeah, I mean, I quite enjoyed this one. But what did you think of it overall?
Yeah, I really like this one as well. This is my favorite Christmas special so far.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I think he did something very different and very outlandish, for better or worse at times. We'll get into that. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. Considering what a chunky boy it is, I didn't realize how long it was when I opened it to play. I was like, oh Jesus. You know, there were some slow parts to it, but I do feel like it filled the time fairly well. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I was necessarily bored throughout it. So I think it did make use of the runtime that it got. And yeah, a whole kind of cast of bizarre characters that you can enjoy spending a bit of time with, however fleetingly brief for some of them, of course, being a disaster movie kind of thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed this one. This was a lot of fun. And I think it's got kind of heavy at the end of series 3 with the master dying, but he'll be back, and Martha leaving. So yeah, it was fun to kind of just have a classic-ish Doctor Who romp with like the sci-fi twist that Doctor Who provides to a lot of things. So yes, big fan of this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I enjoyed it probably a little bit more than I thought I was going to. It's always been sort of one of my favorite Christmas specials, but straight from the off, as soon as he gets onto the Titanic, I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm having a lot of fun already. And yeah, it is a big old long boy. But yeah, I never felt that I was like, I wish they'd just skip over this bit. Maybe if I watched it like 3 times in a row, I'd be able to pinpoint exactly what they
Yeah.
didn't need. But as like a one-off, because people probably won't watch this more than once a year. if that, because it's a Christmas special. People often don't
Yeah.
watch Christmas specials unless they're us. They don't watch them in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, unless they're regeneration stories, then I don't tend to bother unless it's Christmas time.
Yeah, exactly. Although Doctor Who has a habit of now making every regeneration story a Christmas special, so
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes in the future.
maybe not for Jodie though.
No, that's just a November special, I think, isn't it?
Whenever they're going to do it, we have no idea when.
Oh God. But yes, so as with all of our videos on this channel, we tend to do 3 positives and 3 negatives for the episode ish. So I'll let you go first this week. What is your first positive?
I've gone for the disaster/action movie feel and setting, aesthetic, that whole kind of business. I think it's something very different for Doctor Who, at least for the Revive series as well. And I do have some problems with how much they lean into it at times, I guess. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, I do think it's a lot of fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously, again, for better or worse at times. But yeah, it just felt very unique. Because at this point, we've had 2 Christmas specials. They've kind of done, they did the Robot Santas twice, and they probably didn't want to do that again. So different kind of robots
Robot Angels this time, yeah.
There must be robots at Christmas. It must happen. And then we get Cybermen next year. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed them trying to do something a bit different with it and give it some kind of sense of scope and scale and tragedy. But there are a few kind of funny moments in there as well littered throughout. Maybe some could have not come quite so soon after some people plummeted to their deaths. But you know what? It's Christmas.
Yeah.
And
we've only got 70 minutes to fill.
Yeah, it's only 71 minutes of disaster to fill. But yeah, I think they leaned into it a pretty decent amount. I liked how different it was. I think that really makes it stand out against the previous 2 specials. And against just the series that came before it as well. It's a nice palate cleanser, I think, heading into series 4. And yeah, it's not really something they do all that often. Obviously, it's Doctor Who. Things always go wrong in every episode, basically. But not to this extent. And the cataclysmic consequences of so many characters just yeeting themselves into a fireball thing, like their Dr. Octopus. So yeah, I did really enjoy them kind of leaning into that theme. And I do like it when Doctor Who frames itself in a different way for an episode, be it, the first person perspective or black and white section, stuff like that. I get a bit nerdy about those kind of things. So I like that they did a Christmas homage kind of disaster movie-esque feel. And I thought it was pretty successful for the most part. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I think, although the theme and sort of the scale wasn't one of my top 3, it's like my 4th one is how it's all put together. I think this is the first time one of the Christmas specials has felt like a special. Like I could argue that maybe the first 2 were just sort of other episodes that have come on to the thing, but you can very sort of feel this is a separate entity. There's not much that really connects either with series 4 or series 3 except for Wilf, but that even wasn't supposed to be the case when it was filmed.
Yes.
So I really like that they sort of lean into the fact that this is just a one-off. We'll just do a disaster movie, because why not? We've got 70-minute time slot. We've got a little bit of a budget for a one-off special. We've got Kylie Minogue. We might as well throw everything at the wall. And I think it pulls it off, and it sort of does it with confidence. I think if they weren't sure about it, I don't know if it would have worked as well. But it feels like everybody on it feels like they know what they're going to be doing, and it feels that like, they know what they're going to make, except for maybe the guy that plays Mr. Copper, who, according to the interview, seems to not understand what he was doing.
The most miserable man on earth.
Oh yes. But yeah, that was my 4th one. So my first one is Kylie Minogue.
Hey.
I think I put my notes. Is this the biggest guest star Doctor Who has sort of had, especially up to this point? I would say.
Almost certainly, yeah.
Because in the world of Doctor Who, I guess Elizabeth Sladen returning as Sarah Jane is probably the biggest one. But in terms of the wider world and pop culture in general, I'd say Kylie Minogue is pretty up there with guest stars. Yeah. And it still always baffles me that she's actually in an episode of Doctor Who and that she can act pretty well in it.
It's almost that she was an actress before she was a
But I
singer, isn't
know
it?
I know, but she wasn't an actress in exactly like high-end TV or movies, wasn't it?
How dare you say
Was
that
it?
about Neighbours?
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not wrong. We both know I'm not wrong. But but yeah, I mean, I think she was great in this. It doesn't make a big deal of the fact that it's this big guest star. There's not this weird reveal moment where it's like, oh, look at who we've got. It's just a casual introduction, and then she just naturally fits in with the story. And you like her as a character. I think she's quite a likable person because I think a lot of people kind of relate with what she's trying to do. Get out of her area and see the world, or in this case, the universe. Unfortunately for her, her one time out on ship is her only time out on ship. And yeah, I think also that obviously the way you feel about her and that you like her helps with the emotional payoff at the end when she eventually dies, and then doesn't die. Come on to that. But yeah, I just think she's great. I think the character's great. I think it's a shame she was only in this one episode. However, it's also good that she was, because then there's no way of sort of like tainting it in the future. They could never do anything wrong with it, really. But yeah, I just think she's a standout, especially because she's, there probably in the lead up to this would have been a lot of press around her being in it and a lot of pressure. But yeah, fits in really well. Is probably one of the best supporting characters in this. Although again, I'll come on to that in a bit. But yeah, Kylie Minogue is very good in this.
If I had a fourth one, I'd say Kylie for sure.
Excellent. So, what is your second positive?
The supporting characters.
That is also my second positive.
We need to like get a jingle for when we have the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Yeah, add a little ding or something. I don't know. But yeah, we had quite the range of them, and I thought, some of them by their very nature are very one note because we don't have a lot of time to spend with some.
Looking
of them,
at you, Rixton.
Yeah, you have nothing to do except have a line at the end being like, "Oh, so you can't control who lives and dies. That makes you a monster, Time Lord Victorious." Yeah. I'm looking
hint,
at you.
Hint. We're coming back to that in 20 years.
Yeah, see you in 2 years. That throwaway line that no one remembers. But yeah, I did enjoy like the different kind of variations we got. We had the nice old man. We had the famous guest star. Yep. We had the little alien guy who's also a cyborg. They just love robots. We had the
large couple. Oh, okay, sorry.
Who are incredibly wholesome, and I am generally always sad when they die because they're probably like my favorite of the supporting characters, to be honest. Morven and Foon, like absolute babes. Certainly hot now, but I enjoyed them. Rixton Slade is just one note, of course, but I guess the actor plays the smarmy role very well. You do want to punch him, and of course, who could forget Midshipman Frame? In bizarrely only his first appearance in Doctor Who, but Rusty Davies fancied him, so he brought him back, and that is literally the reason he gave for bringing him back, which is fair enough. So yeah, we had all of that kind of going on, and just considering how varied they are, I think that group, once they all get together, and like this is the group we're following for this episode, they work very well together. I think the chemistry is like really interesting there. Some of them don't get on, some of them really do, and I think that would be a very natural kind of thing. Obviously, Rixton gets on with no one. But yeah, I like seeing some of them kind of form these little attachments, and then more of them die, and then even more of them die. And you kind of like, damn, I kind of wish they made it through to the end. But then once Morven goes, you're like, well, Foon just can't survive like this.
Yes.
She won the competition. She entered 5,000 times.
She can't go back to that debt by herself.
No, so yeet. And yeah, I do get what they're trying to do with like, oh, Rixton survived, because sometimes the assholes just will get through it. So I quite liked that in a sense, and basically all the other good people died apart from Mr. Copper. But yeah, I really enjoyed the kind of guest cast we had. It's something this particular year of Doctor Who seemed to excel in, was like the supporting characters and guest cast in an episode, and this was no exception to that, and probably one of the strongest outings in the year of our Lord 2007 for Doctor Who. But yeah, I really enjoyed all of that lot.
Yeah, I think that's fair. There's not really too much I can add to it, really. I think they're all great. Um, I think the benefit this episode has is that they introduce all these characters, and it's the case of you literally don't know. You know the Doctor will live, but that's it. You know everybody else is on the chopping block.
Yeah,
So you've always straight from the off. There are people that you are made to like, Morven and Foon, obviously, with them being sort of like bullied, I guess is the best term to describe
mm,
what's happening,
yeah,
because they're not seen as supposed to be in first class. So you admittedly like them. You like Mr. Copper because he's just an idiot that doesn't know what he's talking about.
he's a criminal.
Yeah, literally. You like Banner Cafalata because I guess he's the comic relief at times.
A funny alien they can
He's
market.
yeah, he's the alien. He's the marketable thing here. He's the baby Yoda of the group.
Yeah,
And then Rixton, who you don't like, but at the same time, I think he's a good character because there are good
yeah,
moments where I'm like, hey, that's a funny line. And if people weren't dying, it would be good. But people are dying, Rixton.
yeah.
Please.
Did they find a donut?
Yeah, I know. It's
Excellent.
great. It's excellent.
He's very Roderick from Bad Wolf and Parting of the
Yes.
Ways. in that
Yes.
sense.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I just think everyone's good from from midshipman frame all the way down to Banner Cafalata. I think everybody in this is excellent, except maybe the actress that plays the Queen. But I don't know if she can be cast as supporting cast, just an extra maybe.
I hope not.
But it's
To
fine.
knock off a number for
Yeah.
the Queen.
Whoops, down 3 points.
Oh dear. God,
Uh,
why? Why would you do that?
Oh god. But yeah, that was also my second positive. I think, as you mentioned, the throughout series 3, the guest cast has been pretty good. I'm hoping that's going to continue into series 4. From what I can remember, I'm pretty sure it probably does. Um,
I
Give or
guess we'll
take.
see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how the supporting cast works for Unicorn and the Wasp. Because there's obviously a lot of characters there. It's similar to this
Yeah.
that you're introduced to, and you don't know who's going to be off in that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Planet of the Ood, I think, has one of the weaker ones for me.
yeah,
But
that's
that
fair.
guy with the claw, I fucking hate that guy. He can't act. I'm sorry, that guy can't act.
Oh,
He's in
amazing.
EastEnders at the minute, and no.
Oh God, lovely.
I'm
We'll
sure
come
he's a
on to
nice
that.
guy, but sorry.
Sorry, sorry. If you're watching this, sorry. Um,
Yes, I'm sure you are one of our regular viewers.
yeah. Oh God. But yeah. So, what is your third positive? I don't think we'll have the same for this one. But what is your third?
Okay. I've gone for the Heavenly Hosts.
Interesting. It's similar to mine, but not the same. Go on.
Information.
Yeah.
You're all going to die. The voice right from the off is great. I love their design, the kind of simplicity of their jaws just going when they talk. The halos becoming weapons just because why not?
Or they just strangle you.
Yeah, that works. Whatever they feel like. But I like the simplicity to their design. I think they do have some kind of creepy elements to them. There's a shot when they're just staring at midshipman frame through the door. You're like, oh, okay, stay away from me. And yeah, I just liked kind of, I mean, their exposition, the robot. So it's fairly easy to just write that because that's what their job is. So when you need exposition, like, oh, just ask one of them. But then you also, they can be things the Doctor doesn't need to feel bad about destroying and killing because they're just robots.
Yeah.
But I like the kind of imagery of them. I think they kind of suit the aesthetic somehow. They fit with the aesthetic that they're going for. And it's very easy for a robot, I think, to be bland and boring in any kind of sci-fi show or whatever. But this is kind of a more unique kind of one, I feel like, that we've gotten. And yeah, I really enjoyed their presence and their whole deal, their shtick, their look, their voice. They were very, very cool, and I enjoyed them very much.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I also think it adds to the creepiness of them that they're supposed to be these things that are there to help people, but then they just turn on everyone, which is obviously shown in the episode where there's 2 moments when there's like, whoops, they're bad. Which I think it's not one of my negatives, but I think they probably could have made it 1 reveal rather than sort of 2, so the audience doesn't know that they're gonna turn when they turn. But that's a minor thing. But yeah, I do like them. And it leads me on to my third positive because I also quite like the person that is in charge of them, Mr. Max Capricorn.
I've thrown that away, really.
I'll give you a moment to go and pick that back up so that you can you can have a moment to think about the words that
I
came
need,
out my mouth.
I need to process that information just
Oh,
for a minute. I don't think I've ever disagreed with you so hard on anything in my life.
but
I have disagreed with you on a lot of things.
yeah, I was sat watching it, and all I thought was this for the episode. This is such a campy pantomime villain, and I just love that they just lean into it. From like the actor leans into it. David leads into it with his quips with him and the back and forth about get ahead in business, and it's just, I think, although sometimes it slightly takes away from Kylie Minogue's death when it cuts to his face and he's going, oh, that's the only sort of major criticism I have. But I just think it's so outlandish and so like strange, and it looks so weird, and it's just an interesting design. And I honestly, we haven't seen anything since, and I think it's good because I don't think it could work again. But for like a one-off villain, for like a one-off villain, I just really like that. It's just ridiculous. It's not to the extent of like with Peter Kay as the Absorbaloff, he tried to play that off as like serious, whereas this one, the actor knows that it's just a ridiculous villain and it's a ridiculous plot. And it's just so cliche. And I just for a special, for like a one-off villain for Christmas, I just thought it was just very well done. And I really enjoyed like the sliminess and the big business villain, the cliche one. And I was like, this is just great. And I know it's not a popular thing because nobody else feels the same way, but I was just watching it and I was like, this is just great. If this was every week, I'd probably have an issue, but with it being the one-off Christmas thing, I think it's fine.
It also helps that he has like 5 minutes of screen time and then they get rid of him.
Yeah, I think
because they know he's shit.
Yeah, if it was anything more, and again, if they tried to make him more serious, I think it would be too much. It wouldn't work. But with this, he's just, he's a little bit crazy, and it's just so weird. And I like it. I appreciate the show for doing things like this. Often they don't work, but you're not going to know if you don't try them. Plus, if you think about the story, I don't know what else it could have been, what else they could have done, because just having
literally anything else,
just having the captain be like, oh yeah, they're going to pay me, is a bit weak, I think, for the whole event and the Heavenly Host. There needs to be something behind him, but who knows? It's good. I like it. I like the twist that he's actually like some weird cyborg man that is like the complete opposite of what Banner Caflatter is. I like that contrast. I like that he's just so petty that he wants all of his money just to piss off and frame everyone that ruined him. But yeah, again, I know it's not a positive. Not everybody feels the same way. But just watching this, I was like, this is great. I like it, which is fine. That's why we do this, to learn new things. Oh.
Yes, I've learned I respect you a lot less than I thought.
So that was already a 0. So now it's just
oh yeah, that's true.
Oh Christ. Okay. Have you got any other additional positives then that you want to mention?
I mean, this is probably in retrospect, but it's nice to see the Cribbins. He's very wholesome.
Yes. Yeah. I think so.
I like that little sequence.
And I do like that they brought him back as well. Yeah, I don't think I've got that too many other positives. I mean, David Tennant was pretty good in this. I think that's safe to say. He had a lot of heavy lifting acting wise towards the end, with especially the emotional beats with Kylie and that kind of stuff. And to keep a pretty straight face at yeehaw kind of thing from what's his face, which is absolutely ridiculous.
Mr. Copper.
Oh, absolutely ridiculous end. But yeah, I think that's about it for the positive wise. So we'll go into the negatives. So what's your first negative?
Well, you'll be shocked to learn it's Max fucking Capricorn.
I've never disagreed with you more.
We're ending this series now.
Oh, we had a good
series 4 will never be covered.
I understand.
I get there's probably no alternative. Just don't write yourself into the corner, please, dear God. I mean, it was probably 4 a.m. on a Friday. I get it, Russell. But yeah, there wasn't enough setup there for me to be like, because when he's revealed, I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay. So right from the off, it's a bad start. I will say the actor gives it his all, and I do appreciate that. Unfortunately, I hate it. Because yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a separate point, a negative I have about the whole slow motion faces on him when Kylie dies. But yeah, I hate it. I like the look of it. I like from the design standpoint, I think it looks quite cool and interesting. Everything else, like the shiny tooth, no, stop it. It happens in real life, and it's like, why? And yeah, I just think it's an underwhelming reveal right from the off. There's not really much more to him. You know, he had an accident. Okay, cool. Banakafalat also had an accident. Cool. You can tell us what they are? No. Okay. You know, it just feels like the script just wants rid of him as soon as they introduce him. It's like, yes, we know. This is why the hosts were around for the first full hour. And yeah, it's just way too much for me. It's too over the top, too campy. You know, the episode had me for that time because the hosts are pretty camp in themselves. You know, they take their halos off and decapitate people with it, for Christ's sake. But yeah, that was just a step too far for me. And yeah, I think Max also just ties into the whole overly dramatic montage and the slow motion crashing, which is another thing that I'm talking about. So that also doesn't really help him. The actor did his best with what he was given. I just don't like what he was given. I do not like Max Capricorn. I much prefer the Heavenly Hosts as a threat. I would have preferred a fucking pig slave being in charge of the Heavenly Hosts, quite frankly.
So yeah, right. Yeah,
and we know how I feel about the pig slaves. No, genuinely, because at least the pig slaves can't talk and their teeth don't go ding. Yeah, I can understand why people may like it, and I think he does fit the tone the episode's going for by the end. And it is very overtly camp and everything, but I can't deal with that anymore.
Fair enough.
So yeah, sorry Max, but it doesn't really matter now anyway, does it? Because you're dead. But
definitely dead. Yeah, that's fair enough. You know, I've said my piece.
If he's behind the flux,
I'm
gonna be imagine, so furious.
Could you imagine what a twist that would be?
I will stop watching Doctor Who.
Oh Christ, I think you probably didn't say fan, so that won't happen. But, you never say never.
It's on record now.
Right. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I've said what I said. You know, I quite like it, but yeah, I get why you and others don't. So, you know, that's fine. We can be civil about it. Unlike other Doctor Who fans.
On camera, we can.
Yeah. After this, I'm going around Liam's house and I'm...
have a black eye for the next video.
Officer, I swear, he just came round. It's because I didn't like Max Capricorn.
Who the fuck is Max Capricorn?
Oh, God. Yeah, fair enough. My first negative, I think all these are kind of nitpicky for me, more than anything. Morvin's death.
It's quite hilarious, really, isn't it?
Oh, it's so ridiculous. Like, for the first of our main characters to die, he is, isn't he? He's the first of the ones to die. It's
I think so, yeah.
It's just such a... It's just like a throwaway. Oh, he's fallen over. Sorry. It's ironic because it comes after the line, oh, the metal's heavy, you know, it's stronger than it looks, and then the metal bends, and that's the whole, you know, that's the thing. But considering we then see that metal hold up with Banaka Flatter, Kylie, the Doctor, a host, and Foon all on it at once, it kind of it loses its impact there. And it just felt a little bit cheap and a little bit like, whoa, anyone can die. Whoa, don't remember they can all die, just so that they could then kill off two others in the same sequence. And be like, well, we told you anyone could die. But you know, it's nothing that ruins it for me. But when rewatching it and he sort of died, I went, oh, that's a bit of a shit way to go, isn't it? You know, it's not like you're killed by a heavenly host. It's not like you die sacrificing yourself like his wife does and Banaka Flatter does. And he just falls off. he just falls to his death. It's the worst death in the whole episode, other than the steward that opens the door, because that's a similar thing. But at least with the steward, he wasn't supposed to know not to open the door until he was already opening it. You know, with Morvin, why do you go to the edge? Why do you go there? If you're already concerned about it, why do you go to the edge? But yeah, that's my only sort of major criticism, even though it is quite a nitpick. I just think it's just a bit of a weak link in the in the death sequences. But Never mind, he's dead now. It's fine.
I like how we're just saying that about all our problems
Yeah,
with the episode. Doesn't matter now because they're
that
dead.
doesn't matter why they're dead. So what is your second negative?
The slow motion Titanic crashing sequence
Okay.
when Kylie's dying and everything.
Mhm.
Again, it's just so cheesy.
Mhm.
But it completely sucked the emotion out of Astrid dying for me.
Mhm.
It's like, well, it's just when the doctor's like,
Yeah.
no, Astrid, and then they're falling in slow motion, and then we have Max, the close-ups of him going,
Not even that. It's still the look of bewilderment of
yeah,
what's going on.
and then we cut to midshipman frame going,
Yeah, I couldn't work out what he was saying.
I'm like, oh
I was like,
my
what are you
god.
saying? Are you saying please help or something? Because it's like please.
Yeah, and like the music's been like, you must feel sad in this moment. It's this big, dramatic, sad sacrifice. She's Stardust now, or whatever. And then it cuts to Max going, and I just no, I can't handle it. And yeah, the music's just so much. I just feel like they're going with a certain tone with Max as a villain, and then they try and make you feel something about it when he's stopped. And I'm just like, that tonal shift just doesn't work for me. I think it's too much too soon. You're asking a bit too much of me there emotionally, because you've just killed my emotional investment with the whole Max sequence, and you expect me to care when you're going, oh no. So yeah, not a big fan of that all playing out, because just when you might feel something about Astrid dying, it cuts to Max, or it cuts to midshipman Frank going, and yeah, not a big fan of that sequence.
No, fair enough. I think my only sort of criticism with that sequence is the Max Capricorn aspect of his face. I think cuts away and it's too ridiculous. Yeah, it's too over the top for that. I think if they just sort of cut to Kylie and then had her falling, and I think everything else in that is fine. But it's just, it doesn't quite work with Max Capricorn's comical face in the serious moment.
I think it just goes on a bit too long for me as well.
Yeah,
that's a lot of slow motion there.
I think it's fair. I don't mind it too much. I can get around with it. I think the death still sort of hits for me anyway. I still think it's quite an emotional scene. And it's very much a sense of, well, everything's going wrong. Sorry, lads.
It doesn't matter because he's dead now.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because two of the four characters in that sequence are dead. So it's fine. As I mentioned, most of mine are nitpicks, and my other nitpick is, why can't Alonso undo the deadlock?
Plot.
Yeah, but why? What happens if that happens?
It was 4 a.m. on a Friday.
But what's because when they do is it a double deadlock or is it just a deadlock? Whatever.
He says it's something like a double deadlock or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So when he does it, it does spark, as if it's broken. So just say, I deadlock the door, but the control broke, and you can't get in. Something like that. Because how else does that work in a normal ship circumstance?
Yeah.
Has somebody got to come and unlock you from outside? Is it the authorities? What? And then just smashing through the ceiling, I guess, unlocks it. Yeah. So I think that's my only criticism. I know deadlock is often used as like just the phrase that means you can't do something, which is fine. That's always been the case so far in New Who, and it's going to continue to be the case in New Who. Deadlock and wood are the two things that that will consistently block the Doctor from getting to his goals. Yes. Pretty much. But it's just like I just want to, just a slight tweak to the line saying that I deadlock the door, but it's broken, so nobody can get in. I think would have been better, because otherwise it's a case of, so what's the problem? Especially when the Doctor does arrive, he's then in charge of the angels, so therefore you could just unlock it normally and you wouldn't have the risk of the angels coming in. So, and then for some reason doing the double deadlock snaps off the angel's arm like it's just like a cut, which obviously wouldn't. It's fine. Again, it's a nitpick that I can get around because I can deal with it. It's not a major thing. But even so, the Doctor doesn't necessarily need to be up into the bridge to solve the problem of the episode. Alonso could pretty much do it anyway.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I can deal with it. So what is your second negative?
Third.
Oh, third.
Yes, we're there already, friends. Some of the sound effects I've gone for.
Yeah.
Again, it leans into more of the camp nature that I think the story's trying to go for,
Mhm.
before it expects you to care. And yeah, it just felt like some of them are ripped from a cartoon, and it completely took me out of it. When they like crush one of the host's face, it's like, like,
Yeah.
what the fuck is that?
Mhm.
And there were a few instances of that. I can't remember all of them now. I should have written them down really. But
Mhm.
there were a couple of occasions I was like, what a ridiculous noise. It just felt very like, okay. I know it's a disaster movie. Maybe it's supposed to feel like a Sharknado. I suppose I get it. But it just came across as quite cheap in trying to achieve that. Especially when there's some like good writing in there and some good characters in there. You don't need to kind of cheapen it with that kind of stuff. Because if you want me to feel stakes, you don't go ha ha every time like a house gets destroyed or something.
Yeah.
And just again, that is like it's my third because it's something I can get over because it happened a couple of times. I'm like, oh god, that's terrible. But it's sort of like a second. But it still kind of took me out of the story a lot. And basically, I've discovered I have a real fine line when it comes to camp.
Yes,
And
clearly.
sometimes the episode leans into it and I think it works, like with the hosts and everything with that. And then most of the time, I'm just like, no, I cringe now, please. I fold away into myself and want to skip to the next episode. But yeah, that was my last one.
Yeah, I understand. I didn't notice it. I didn't really notice any of them, but I get what you mean. I think there are a couple of occasions in Matt Smith's run where they use sound effects like that I think really take me out of it. So I do get what you mean, and I understand that they can be quite annoying.
Yes.
But I didn't pick up on them. So maybe that was just me not paying attention. But that's why there's two of us here and not one.
That's why one of us likes one era more than the other.
Yeah.
One of us is the opposite.
Oh, exactly. But yeah, fair enough. If those things take you out, they take you out. I know, like I said, I know they do in for me some other episodes, so understandable. So my sort of third one is again quite nitpicky. Why do the angels default to the doctor as the highest authority on the boat?
Yeah, that was weird. Especially when they make a point of like, I'm not even here really, because I'm a stowaway.
I'm not actually part of the boat, but now I'm in control of it.
And how they just stand there and watch Kylie just like push their boss off.
Yeah, but they stop the doctor from going towards them until the boss, I guess, lands in the fire and they're no longer in control. But yeah, it's just I don't get it because surely they would default to midshipman frame if anyone, because he is technically next in line. So that, and again, that's only in this one. It's kind of been like, oh, why have they gone to him? In the rewatch, but they needed to get the doctor to the bridge pretty quick to solve the problem.
To do the Jesus shot.
Yeah, again. But I do like that in that the angels are slightly above where David Tennant is to show that they're actually carrying him. I thought that was quite a nice touch, visually, if anything. Yeah, it's just a small thing, why when he's not supposed to be there, why him? But maybe for some reason they can say out they have history, in their information banks, they know who he is, maybe. But yeah, never mind, it's fine. So have you got any other negative points you want to hit on?
I do not, no.
Excellent.
That was it. Just a bit too camp.
My sort of other one, it's not really negative or positive, but I do want to throw a nice mention to the Clive interview that was done around this time. If it's online anywhere, I will try and link it in the comments in the section below. But if not, if people just Google search Mr. Copper Doctor Who magazine interview, I'm sure the picture will come up. But it's an excellent read from, I forgot his last name, Clive Swift, where he's obviously been put up for this interview by, I guess, the production team, and he just doesn't care.
He does not want to be there.
He's just like, well, what do you think? Well, yeah, why would I have taken this job? Why would I have done this? I was like, oh my, all right, okay.
Money.
I'm really not doing it justice, but I implore everyone to go and Google it if you've not already seen it and have a look, because it is very.
He was clearly a superb actor, because he's the complete opposite of Mr. Cobb in real life.
Yeah, he really is. But it's a ridiculous interview. Yeah, it's a ridiculous interview that I highly recommend going to check out if you get the time. But yeah,
and they published it.
And it was a real thing. It wasn't like it was done, off the record or something. These were all quotes he said and went into publication for fans of the show to read before the episode came out. It must have been so. It must have been the preview bit.
I can't remember if they were asking like spoilery questions or not.
So it's It sure is a read. Go and check it out.
It's a read.
But yeah, I think we've done this in record time, seemingly. I might be wrong, but
It's
yeah,
gonna be an hour and a
turns out
half
it's been
now.
the longest thing. So with our positives and negatives out of the way, that leads us on to your fun facts.
Oh boy, and there are a lot for Voyage of
All
the
right,
Damned.
this is gonna take up the remaining of the time. Then
Yeah,
we said that.
this took me like half the episode to write that down, and even then I
Christ.
skipped a few. I'm like, no, I'm not writing that down. F that. Right. So Astrid's death at the conclusion of the episode was the first time a companion dies in the revived series.
Companion.
Not for the last time. Originally intended as an unrelated cameo as a character called Stan, Bernard Cribbins' character was retroactively made a returning companion Donna's grandfather following the death of Howard Atfield, who was to return in Series 4 as Donna's father, but sadly passed away after filming his scenes for 401, Partners in Crime, which we will be watching next time. For a few months, Voyage of the Damned was the highest charting episode in Doctor Who history, the second most watched programme of the week, taking the crown from 1974's The Ark in Space Part 2. It was replaced 7 months later by Journey's End, the first episode ever of Doctor Who to win its week of original transmission, being the most watched programme of the week. So there you go. And yes, it took all that time for Doctor Who to be the most watched programme of the week, and yet, it was the peak era. Doctor Who's failing nowadays, and just
unbelievable.
First every week back in the good old days, wasn't it? Clearly. The working title of the episode was Starship Titanic. It was changed when it was pointed out that Douglas Adams had made a novel and a video game of the same name, an extremely similar concept, a few years earlier. So they changed it. Good old copyright. Astrid was originally called Peth, but they ended up just making that her surname. Can you imagine him go? That's probably why they changed it.
Wouldn't have been any better, to be fair. Let's face it.
No, but they wanted an anagram of TARDIS to get people talking, I guess.
Obviously.
Composer Murray Gold and arranger Ben Foster both had cameos as band members on the Titanic.
Oh, and this is also the return of Murray Gold's infamous music again. His lyrical choices with what's it called this time? It's quite good, this one. The one they use this one. Is it just Stowaway? I can't remember. You know what I mean?
I'm going
the one that they sing. The one they sing. You know how in every Christmas special there has been a song that's been made for the episode.
Oh right, yeah.
There's another one in this one, but I can't remember what it's called. But it's probably my second favorite of Murray's 3 songs that he writes for the show. So yeah, they're all on the soundtracks. Go and check them out.
I see. The episode was dedicated to Verity Lambert, Doctor Who's first producer, who died a month prior to broadcasting. Rest in peace to a real one. Catholic audiences heavily criticised the Doctor being lifted in the air by angels,
of course.
While Milvina Dean, the last survivor of the Titanic, believed the episode was very disrespectful in making entertainment of the disaster.
Oh yes, but not that film. Not that film. Not that big film.
She didn't like
criticize that part. Right.
Yes.
Oh, well, so she just didn't like anything then. What about the Titanic referencing Ghostbusters 2?
I imagine she's not a fan of that very traumatic event in her life. That probably shaped the rest of her days.
To be fair, the one in Ghostbusters 2 is probably the worst. Or is it Ghostbusters 1 where like all the dead bodies are walking out of the ghost ship with the Titanic? That's definitely the worst one that there is for me.
Oh dear.
Oh.
Kylie Minogue was a film and TV actress before becoming a singer, most famous for her role in Neighbours, where she married Jason Donovan. Mm-hmm. She's a good actress. You literally just praised her.
Yeah, she is a good actress, yeah. But before singing, I again, Neighbours.
One of the biggest shows at the time, sure.
Still.
Just
Neighbours.
Her wedding episode is like the most watched TV program of all time, and you're like, oh yeah, not a real actress though, is she?
It's Neighbours though, isn't it?
Wow. Sorry to our Australian viewers. Neighbours is actually very good. Well, it was when I watched it at my nan's house.
There you go. You'll turn it back on now and be like, what the fuck is this? Like Hollyoaks all over again.
I'm sure it's great. Hollyoaks is bad, but I'm sure Neighbours is great. And she still made occasional film appearances even after becoming a singer. This was her first major acting appearance in 2 years since her diagnosis and recovery from breast cancer. How do you feel now, Mr. Not a real actress though, is she? She's not. No, she is.
She was in Moulin Rouge as well. Very briefly as like a think about drunken fairy thing that sang. Yeah, she was in Moulin Rouge. There's my little fun fact.
Excellent film, Moulin Rouge. David Tennant's mother passed away at the start of production, requiring the crew to shoot around his consequent absence. So that's a sad fact for you.
Did a good job there, didn't it? They did a good job because you can't tell.
Yeah, Kylie Minogue played David Tennant for half this episode.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Didn't see.
What an actress.
Yeah.
In the first draft of the script, Russell T Davies had Buckingham Palace be destroyed by the Titanic. Instead of wishing the Doctor a happy Christmas, the Queen cursed the Doctor. It's also it also would have featured a very much hoped for but didn't happen cameo by Prince Charles. Davies changed it, deciding it was too negative an ending.
Oh, really?
Nothing else about the episode's ending was depressing.
No.
So there's that. Originally, Max was going to live and be arrested by the Jadoon at the end of the episode.
Oh, that would have been cool.
So, Rhino boys, love them. At 71 minutes long, Voyage of the Damned is the third longest episode of the revived series and the fifth longest episode overall. Fourth is End of Time Part 2 at 75 minutes. Third is The Day of the Doctor at 76 minutes. Second is the 1996 TV movie at 85 minutes. And first is The Five Doctors at 19 minutes long.
Whoa. What about the TV movie?
I literally just said the TV movie was second.
Oh,
so thank you for listening. Very closely to my fun facts. You've just exposed yourself.
Oh no! I was like, hey, hang on a minute. He's not mentioned the TV movie. I heard End of Time. I was thinking, End of Time is long. And then you got to the Five Doctors. I was like, where's the TV movie?
So you skipped the three I said in between those two.
I was too busy. I
see how it is. I see how it is. Yes.
My mind wanders.
Yes, evidently. Colin Baker visited the set when filming was in progress for this episode, and I bet that was wholesome because he could have reunited with the guy who played Mr. Copper because they were in a story together. But I'll talk about that in my final fun fact.
I'm sure they were fun.
I'm sure they got along like a house on fire. David Jason was offered the role of Mr. Copper, but he wasn't available, and I'm sad that David Jason's not been in Doctor Who because he's a wholesome old man. Russell T Davies had previously considered Russell Tovey, who plays Alonzo Frame, for the 10th Doctor. Didn't happen.
Could be the 14th.
You never know.
He won't be. He's a white man. He won't be.
Definitely won't be. He is gay though, so you never know.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah,
some kind of progress.
Some kind of progress.
And also, more importantly, he's a good actor. So I'm not being like, well, you have to.
Yeah.
That makes it sound horrible, but that is the most important thing. Really. Grander scenes of destruction and chaos were planned from the Titanic was hit. However, shockingly, they were removed for budget concerns.
No, who would have guessed?
Including a sequence where the ship was turned upside down. And then they would all fall to their deaths a lot sooner, I suppose.
Poseidon Adventure, that I assume is a reference to.
Sure. Originally, Max was going to be seen as a passenger in the ballroom scene in the opening of the episode. But at this point in development, he wasn't confined to the life support machine. Yeah,
it'd be a bit obvious if he was there, wouldn't it? He's just the table. He is the table, and people are just putting their drinks on.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh.
Alonso's surname was originally going to be Blaine, and Foon was originally named Susie. Geoffrey Palmer, who played the captain, previously appeared in 1970 story Doctor Who and the Silurians, first appearance of the Silurians. And Clive Swift had appeared in the 1985 story Revelation of the Daleks with Mr. Colin Baker. And yes, he's fine in it. Online speculation said that the heavenly hosts were going to be the Axons from the Pertwee era due to their very similar appearance, and it is very similar. However, this was proved false.
No.
And then newspapers incorrectly reported that Kylie Minogue was going to play a Cyberwoman in this story. These reports went out not only before Minogue had even officially been cast, but before Russell had even completed writing the script. So well done, newspapers.
Lovely.
You did a great job. Well done. And there you have it.
Incredible stuff. Some excellent fun facts there. I didn't hear mention of the TV movie though. I don't know if you spoke about that, about how long that was.
85 minutes, actually.
Lovely. What about Day of the Doctor? Did you mention that?
Yes, I did. 75 minutes. Thank you.
What about Five Doctors? Was that one on there?
19 minutes.
Oh, love it. So with that being said, the last thing to do this week is to rate the episode out of 10. What are you going to give it?
Well, I removed 2 points for super campiness, so I'm giving it an 8.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I gave it an 8.5.
There you go.
I
think that's probably the best performing Christmas special, I would say.
It's definitely better than last week's episode. I think it's maybe on par, if not a little bit lower than Sound of Drums for me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely up there with with pretty good episodes. I could happily watch this not around Christmas. and not think too much of it. Obviously, Christmas does play a bigger part at the start than it does throughout the rest of the episode, as with every Christmas special. But yeah, it's a good fun time, and if you do want a Doctor Who episode for Christmas, I do recommend watching this one if you want one from the Russell T Davies era. Probably one of the better ones.
It's probably my favourite Russell T Davies ever special, I think.
You never know. It might change your mind when we get to the Cyberman one.
Might change my mind. I do like me some Cybermen.
With the big cyber stompy boy.
Oh, yeah, but I don't like that, so probably
not. The Cyber Shades, a crucially underrated style of Cyberman.
They are good, actually. I do like them.
But yes, that's a while off, because next week we will be starting our first episode of Series 4.
Oh, fuck. I just remember who turns up at the end.
Oh, yeah. It's Partners of Crime? In Crime? Partners in Crime. Yeah. Almost there. It's Partners Crime.
Partners of a certain crime in a certain crime.
Well, I mean, they are committing crimes.
With a certain crime.
They do commit crimes in this, to be fair. It's just luckily there was an alien involved. But yes, this sees the return of Catherine Tate as Donna Noble, who is looking for the Doctor. And because she's trying to investigate, she's doing what Sarah Jane effectively does in the Sarah Jane Adventures. She finds some weird stuff and then goes and investigates it, hoping that one day she'll run into the Doctor, and she does.
Because she never forgot her time with him.
Oh. I'm sure she won't. Oh, God. But yes, they reunite, and they have to defeat the adipose. Well, not even the adipose. They have to defeat.
They must kill the adipose.
They must defeat.
They must let the adipose go.
Yes. Yes. They must solve the alien mystery, basically, of Fats just walking away. What are your memories of this episode, or what are you expecting?
I've always found the adipose quite charming, so I'm hoping that's still the case, and I don't be like, oh God, they're so annoying, I want to kill them all. Yes. But I think it's probably still a very timely conversation about losing weight and pills and all that kind of thing, because we are a very fat country, as Miss Foster says in the episode.
But she didn't pick America, apparently.
No,
not in this timeline.
Only in turn left.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, actually that makes more sense. I'll put that in turn left.
Half the UK population's been killed off now, so it's better off going to.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, I remember liking it. It was fun to see Donna again. I like the interactions with her and the Doctor. Speaking and miming through the windows. There's obviously a lot of comedic elements in that episode, from what I remember as well. And yeah, I don't know if it's like going to be a standout of Series 4 when I look back. What are the other? I mean, I really like Smith and Jones as an opener. That is probably my favorite opener of the Russell T Davies era. But I feel like this could easily be like a close second if I have a good time with it. And Max Capricorn's not in it, so that's good from what I remember anyway. And then we have a certain someone showing up at the end, and I remember being quite shocked at that.
Yes.
I say shocked. I had done like a deep dive online and found out that she was coming back. So I had found like
it's commitment. Nice.
It must have been like the dark web or something.
Yeah.
So I remember finding like a synopsis for episode 13, and it mentioned that Rose and Mickey were in it. I was like, oh my goodness. So when she showed up, I was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then Mickey showed up in episode 13. I was like, vindication. I said I didn't make that reference at the time because Brooklyn Line wasn't a thing then. But yeah, I think it's a pretty solid episode from what I remember. A good start and reintroduction to Donna. Then we have Penny, who's just tied to a chair, and she would have been the new companion, but Catherine Tate was like, hello.
I'll come back.
I'm sure that'll be a fun fact. But yeah, more than anything, I'm just excited for some adipose adorableness and hopefully a good time.
Yeah, I think this episode is going to benefit from the fact that we already know basically all the characters in it. We don't have to do the whole reintroduction to who the companion is, and we don't have to go through the whole they're someone completely brand new. We know who Donna is. We know where she was when we left her. We get to see her progression since The Runaway Bride. And yeah, I think Series 4 is one of my favorite series, so hopefully these episodes stand up to what I remember, and the whole series isn't just a 42 situation, but we will find out for sure. But yeah, that is next week. We will be back next week, but we'll be taking a break the week afterwards because I'm away, so soz. But we'll make sure we get Partners in Crime Partners in Crime. Yeah, I'll say of again there. Well,
Sorry
make sure.
to the Fires of Pompeii stands out there.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sure it's everyone's favorite.
Peter
episode.
and Karen can wait an extra week before
Yeah.
introduction.
Oh yeah. Don't forget. But yeah, we'll make sure this is out. And we've recorded everything before I leave, so it's fine. But yeah, we will be back next week then for Partners in Crime with the return of Catherine Tate. Goodbye.
Bye.